Central Indiana. This is Cory Getz with UHQ Construction, and today we're back talking with Laura Rasche from Safe Families for Children. She's the director there at the Indiana chapter. And so we've talked before, but we're back to talking again, kind of get some updates on what's going on. So if you could just kind of start off and refresh people who you are, what you do, and what your organization does at Safe Families.
Yeah, perfect. So I'm Laura Rasche, and as Cory said, I serve as the chapter director for Safe Families for Children in Central Indiana. Safe Families for Children is an evidence-based program that prevents children from unnecessarily going to the foster care system. While we understand why the foster care system exists, we also believe that a lot of families in our community just need extra support and wraparound. And so that's what we do. We provide that extra support and wraparound through our volunteers.
Absolutely. So to give people like a little better understanding, what does the organization do to keep children safe while, helping the parents, stay together or get back on their feet?
Yeah, so we have a variety of ways that our volunteers can serve, but I think the primary thing I would want to share is that the family contacting us, they define their crisis. They don't have to meet certain criteria from Safe Families in order to get help. Yeah. We really want to destigmatize what comes with asking for help. We want to make it a normal thing. And so the family defines their crisis and they can call in for whatever that looks like. We can host children overnight in host homes. We can also do family friending, which is more just like mentorship, maybe providing some rides. Perfect example, spoke with a mom yesterday who has an upcoming appointment that she needs help with. And so our volunteer is going to take mom to her appointment and then also watch her son while she's at that appointment. So just pretty basic things that are basic to people who have a support network. And so trying to be that for others. We can also provide resources. But we do prefer that the families are getting wraparound services from us before we start giving tangible goods. Otherwise, that could get really out of hand. So yeah, just really stepping in however they need us. And each thing looks different. Each family's need looks different on what that might all entail.
Yeah. And what's the demand look like these days? Is the demand for what you offering increasing? Is it decreasing?
It is increasing.
Okay.
Around Christmas time, it was a little slow, which was unusual for us.
Okay.
But I think it's because of the state of the world around Christmas time that I think a lot of other agencies were lowering the barrier to get service from them. So like we had one family ask for Christmas help, which is highly unusual. But again, I think it's because they could get in to other churches and pantries that used to have a requirement like this has to be your zip code. You've got to bring me a utility bill. Places did away with that in December because they just knew that the need was so high. So we kind of felt a little reprieve during that time. And we were no longer in the reprieve. So I looked this morning, we have 36 open referrals, which is kind of crazy. We usually hover around 22 open referrals. So it's quite a bit larger.
Sure.
And especially when you consider we're a team of 4, staff team of 4. And then just with our volunteers, it's like we are always asking now, always asking. So, absolutely. And some of those are one-time, like taking this mom to her appointment. Some of them are more entailed than that. So
what do you think is driving that increased demand right now? I mean, like as we shoot this right now, there's a war going on. Gas prices are $4 a gallon. Inflation doesn't seem to be stopped. It's going to continue. And, it's like groceries are more expensive than ever. Rent is more expensive than ever. Utilities, property taxes for people. Obviously we have a lot of challenges in society today as we stand. What do you think is affecting the people that you help the most?
Yeah, I would say, housing is always a problem for us, the affordable housing piece.
Yeah.
And so that's where a lot of our families struggle. And then when you throw all those things that you just mentioned in, like it is expensive to live and it is hard to make ends meet. And so when you're also getting hired to work a job that pays you $12 an hour, like there's no way to survive on that. There's really not, especially if you're raising kids. And so that is a continuous hard piece for our families. Yeah. But I also think the uptick that we're seeing right now is because of the childcare voucher situation.
Okay.
So, the childcare development fund vouchers were frozen and they weren't supposed to reopen until 2027. So that means any parent getting a job who needs assistance has no assistance. It's not there. Yeah. And so it was recently announced that they're opening up these vouchers, but I'm just going to be really honest, it's not enough. Those vouchers are going to be gone in no time because the waiting list is so long. So that's really unfortunate because it's like, hey, Cory, come work this job we'll be generous, for $14 an hour, but then you also have to pay for your childcare out of pocket. And, maybe buy some food and perhaps pay for rent too. Like you're not doing that, unfortunately.
Because I'd imagine the people providing the child care have to pay their people around $14 an hour, right? So it's like, child care is not inexpensive.
No, it's not. And it's truly debilitating for a lot of the families we serve. So we have typically steered away from wanting to be called babysitters or, to have that connotation. But with everything that's going on with the child care funds, we realized we had to get over that. And we had to sort of shape the way that we serve the families too. And so while we cannot be a long-term daycare solution, we can step in and provide some of that daytime care so a parent can at least get to their first paycheck. You can't do anything until you get that first paycheck. So it's more like a trial period, all right, let's do this for 2 weeks. And it can get kind of crazy because it's usually not the same volunteer who can do Monday through Friday for 2 weeks in a row. So it's like, okay, Monday, Tuesday, you're going to Cory's. Wednesday, Thursday, you're coming to Laura's. Friday, you're going to Steve's. It's just this piecing it together, which makes our lives really busy, but it's also kind of exhilarating when we can make it come together for a family and know that we can give them that peace of mind. So yeah, we need daytime volunteers.
Daytime volunteers, if you heard this.
Yes.
So like, you've got the increased demand and you're seeing more of this being like, hey, I just need help, like for somebody to watch my kids so I can be making a living and support myself. Yep. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's tough.
It's tough. It's really tough. And it's hard when you're on the phone with the parent and you can hear it in their voice and they want to be a functioning member of society, but our world makes it really hard for them to be able to do that.
Yeah. And it's like you mentioned earlier, like especially if they don't have that support system, which is really where a safe family comes in, is to like help the people that don't have the support system in place. So in an ideal world, what happens with child care vouchers right now?
I have so many thoughts. I just feel like taking care of people should be a priority for our state, for our government, for everybody. It should just be a natural thing that we want to take care of others. And so while I think it's like 14,000 childcare vouchers that will be released now, that is amazing. I'm not going to say that it's not, but there's always going to be a wait list because there's always been a wait list. And so I don't know how it's solved. I feel like that's way above me in the terms of government and how they make decisions. But I think families have to be a priority for people because you can't do it on the wages that they're being paid. You just can't. And it's their mental health starts to decline also when they can't get out, when they can't work, when they can't make these pieces come together. So then it just becomes this vicious cycle.
So it like becomes depressing for them where it's like, well, I want to take this job so I can support my family, but I don't have anywhere for my kids to go. And I don't really have this support system.
Yeah.
And that's where Safe Families comes in, right? Is trying to help fill that gap.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how is that going? Like, what are the updates with the chapter? You know, it's like, what's new within the chapter then these days? I know you kind of mentioned like, hey, we got to reshape what that looks like. I mean,
Yeah.
what else is going on?
Yeah, I think it's kind of fun at myself in particular because I'm the one that's kind of zoned in on, but this is how we do things. And so it's kind of fun when we can get creative and figure out how to, help families. And maybe we can't support them in the way that they initially ask, but then getting creative, like, okay, but what can we do? Right. And so that's been a big piece of it, I think, is just brainstorming and getting creative. But I say this every time, but it's true. I continue to be blown away by our volunteers and how many volunteers are willing to step in for multiple families at once. We don't host children at the same time from different families, but we have one volunteer in particular who's coming to mind. She's just a yes man. She signs up for every need that she sees coming across. So she's supporting multiple families, watching this kiddo early in the week, watching this kiddo on the weekend, that sort of thing. But like Lori and I were talking yesterday, while that is great, we also want to make sure that we're supporting our families well, and which is why there's this constant need for new volunteers to come in. Because in an ideal world, one volunteer would wrap around one family for a long period of time, instead of having your hands in a bunch of different mixes. But we got to do what we got to do right now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How's it going? Like bringing on new volunteers lately? Like, is that going well? Do you need? Yeah, I think you probably always need more volunteers is ideal, but like,
yeah,
what do you see that looking like?
We are fortunate in that we have been pretty steady over the past 3 years, where on average we bring in about 25 new volunteers per year. We need a lot more than that, though, because while you're bringing new volunteers in, you've also got current volunteers who are entering a new season of life and maybe aren't as available. Yeah. So I feel like it's a constant cycle of in and out. So yeah, I think the need is just always going to be there, and we're always going to need more, because what the families need from us can sometimes be specific too. Maybe mom is working Tuesday from 3 to 7. So we need more volunteers because not everybody can do 3 to 7, whatever that looks like. Yeah. So that's definitely, I think we all feel the pull on that right now, but we're very fortunate that we continue to get volunteers, and most of our volunteers that come in are through word of mouth. Like they've talked to someone else who's volunteering, and that's how they find out about us and sign up. So yeah.
That's good. Do you have any recent stories you could share about, situations where, Safe Families has been able to come in and wrap around a family? Or
yeah, I can. I always have stories. We've got some amazing families, but one mom in particular, we'll just call her A. She came to us, single mom, little girl, and she's the perfect example of somebody who really wanted to work and really needed to work for that mental health piece as well. And so she was able to get a job. The hours weren't ideal. And she doesn't have daycare, and she was making somewhere in that $12 to $14 an hour range. But we were able to at least provide her some support where she was able to work for a couple of weeks. She got a paycheck. She got some money. It didn't sustain because the job wasn't going to be sustainable, but we still consider that a win because we saw the difference in her. Like her first day of work, I actually picked her up after work. I was her volunteer that day, and she was night and day different from the mom that got in my car that morning and the mom that got in my car that evening, because she was so thankful that she had the opportunity to get out and be an adult, and not be at home all day and those sorts of things. So that's pretty incredible. We have also supported some moms recently who were experiencing health issues, either with themselves or with their children. So one mom that we wrapped around, she had a baby in the NICU. And so we stepped in and would watch her young child so she could go visit the baby in the NICU. So those sorts of pieces where when families don't have people that they trust, that's really rewarding that we can fill in those moments. I mean, who doesn't want to go see their baby in the NICU, right? And she hadn't been able to go because they didn't have anyone to watch their other daughter. So those are cool experiences for us for sure.
That's a good story. It always amazes me. It's like, we always hear so many people are like, if you want to, why don't you just go work and support yourself? It's a little more complicated than that sometimes.
Like a lot more complicated. And before you do that, you got to jump through that hoop and go through that hoop as well. It's not just that easy, and if it was that easy, everyone would be working. I truly believe that. I know we talked about this before, like what are misconceptions about the families that you serve? And that's the biggest one, that people that aren't operating in this nonprofit world think that the others are lazy and that, they're asking for help because they're lazy and they just don't want to take care of their kids and they just don't want to work. And that is not what we see.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear a lot right now from like both sides. Like I hear it from business owners that are like, nobody wants to work. We put up these job ads and people apply, but then they don't even show up for work. Like they only show up for the interview half the time. And then half the people that do show up to the interviews don't show up to the actual job if they get hired. And then I hear it from other people that are looking for employment that are like, nobody's really hiring right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's hard to tell like what's going on. I think I kind of struggle with that when I talk to both sides of the situation. It's like, well, what's the reality? And I think there's probably challenges on both, but when people are just on their side and they don't have the empathy to see the other side, it can make it a real challenge to understand why people aren't showing up for their first day of work. Well, maybe they didn't have childcare, right?
Maybe their car didn't start. Maybe their Uber didn't show up. If they were having to rely on someone else for that transportation. I know that we serve parents that don't show up to work, but it's for one of those reasons. Like their childcare fell through, their transportation fell through. I would say that generally speaking, I believe most of the people who don't show up, there's a reason behind it. It's not just because they're choosing not to show up. Now, are there those people who are also not interested in working and not showing up because they just don't want to work? Yeah, I'm not saying that there's not.
Yeah.
I just know with our families, there's usually something else going on there.
Yeah.
That's ultimately the mom A that I was talking about. That's why she lost her job, because her childcare fell through one day. It was not through us. It was through other resources that she was using, and she didn't have childcare. And what are you going to do? There's not an option then. So
I think that's what makes Safe Families such a great organization, because like you're trying to fill this gap that a lot of people just don't even want to acknowledge is happening, or like don't have the capabilities to help like that average day-to-day person, right? Like Mom A, and so I love what you guys do.
Thank you. I do too. And I love my team, because if we can't find another volunteer, one of the four of us is going to step in if it works. It's just, we're all volunteers at heart. And so I think that's what makes what we do really special, because we are passionate about it. It's not just a job. Nobody would choose to daily be worried about other families, like it's a lot of pressure, but it's also very cool. Like when I could step in for Mom A that day, like we didn't have another volunteer. And I was like, pick me, because it worked with my work schedule, and it's so like, it's satisfying. That sounds weird, because I don't want another family to be struggling for me to feel satisfied, but it is satisfying. And I think because we volunteer ourselves, it reminds us of what we're asking others to do. Because I'm big about, I'm not going to ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And so I think that comes across in the work that we do, that we can empathize with a volunteer, and we know when things are hard. We've been through that too, so we can help coach them through that. So
yeah. Absolutely. You know, one of the things when people ask me, like, I'll tell people about your organization and I'll say, kind of make it like short and sweet. I'll be like, I mean, their main goal is to help keep children out of the foster care system, right? Like
Yep.
working to help support families. How important is that? How important is it to keep these children out of the foster care system?
So huge. I'm not going to quote the numbers because I don't have them official in my head, but I saw a video because this is Child Abuse Prevention Month, April is. And so a lot of sister organizations are doing, a lot of the statistics. And once a child goes into foster care, it's a lot harder. If they are actually removed from their parents, it is a lot harder for parents to get their children back. Like their work is cut out for them at that point. But also when they go into the system, there are these statistics surrounding if they have one caseworker or if they have to hop through several, because we know that DCS is also, they are overworked and underpaid, just like the rest of us. And we get it. And then they also have these ginormous caseloads. And so when a child experiences so many different people in their lives, like the outcomes are not good, right? They change a lot. And again, we 100% believe in the foster care system because there are families that need it. There are families who need above and beyond what we can provide. We are volunteers. We are stepping in. We have training, but we have no specialized training. And so if there is abuse and neglect, that's not our lane, right? Yeah. But if it is truly just a family struggling, like how unfortunate that you would have other people judging you on if you were fit to be a parent just because you fall on hard times.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's so important that we stop those ones that aren't supposed to be there in the first place, right? Yeah. Because so many, like you can read all the reports, like this many reports in a year, but only this many were substantiated. All those other people who weren't substantiated should probably be with safe families because they're risky enough that someone felt like they needed to make a report, but they're still providing and caring for their kids. So it's like, let us come alongside, let us keep the kids at home. And something we're really proud about, which I know we've talked about before, is like for 2025, 80% of our hostings, overnight hostings, were 1 week or less.
That's great.
So it's amazing because we know the longer a child is in hosting, the wheels start to fall off for everybody. Like the honeymoon period's over, kiddo starts acting out, volunteer is exhausted, parent starts questioning, if kiddo's having a better time in the volunteer home than coming home with mom. And so we just really are trying to focus on this like shorter yet maybe longer overall, support instead of 4 months in a host home. And then there's like really no preparation for what that looks like when the child comes home. So I think that's just really amazing because it gives them continued support. It allows parents to know that a break is coming. Yeah. We have several parents who we provide respite like once a month because they're single parents, they're exhausted. And just knowing that that break is coming is sometimes all they need to get through, right? And anyone who says that that is not justifiable or worthy is not a single parent, because I'm a single parent, but I had the luxury of my parents being heavily involved, also being retired. And so they were able to assist me. So I really had regular respite as well. It just was through Grandma and Grandpa Rasche instead of safe families. So yeah. I just think it's important for people to remember that. And I say mom a lot because the majority of the families we serve are single mom households, but we serve dads. We have served married couples. We will serve anyone who feels like they're in a position where they need to ask for help. So
yeah, that's great.
They just have to have kids. That's our only qualifier.
Hence, safe families for children,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes people take for granted, like, when a child goes into the foster care system, what happens from there? I was watching, this was a month ago, I can't even recall the exact situation, but like some girl had been like rescued. Her parents hadn't really been taking care of them. She had like 6 brothers and sisters. They end up getting put into foster care. Some of them end up getting abused.
Yeah.
And, they're like still recovering from the whole situation.
Yeah.
becomes unfortunate. So it's like you said, like it's trying to keep the ones out that, we can and help support those families. Well, I want to shift a little bit.
Okay.
So June 18th, 2026, you have an event coming up.
Yes.
Evening with the Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us all about it.
Yes. So this will be our third annual. 3 years is really short, but I feel like we have learned a lot in 3 years as well. Just a super fun evening. We called it Evening with the Stars because we view the parents who ask for help and our volunteers as the stars of our organization. So that's kind of the whole purpose behind the naming, is that we really want to celebrate the relationships that are made and built. And this year is going to look a little different. We've generally had guest speakers, and we're still going to have that, but we're going to do more of a panel this year. And it's going to be a panel of volunteer families to really share what it actually looks like to be a volunteer, because the feedback that we've gotten from previous years has been, I wish I understood a little bit more what it actually looked like to volunteer. So we are very excited about that.
Because people get kind of scared about volunteering.
Yes.
It's like, oh, the organization sounds great, but
they think,
what am I getting into? The fear of the unknown.
Yes,
right?
yes. And if they heard about us previously, they think it's a really lengthy time commitment.
Yeah.
When I first started hosting in 2012, it wasn't unusual for me to host for 4 months. That was kind of the norm. That is no longer our norm. And so I think we want to take away that fear and give some real life examples of, I just picked her up and took her to the grocery store and dropped her back off at home. It can really be that easy. And so I'm really excited about it. We've hand selected the 3 families that are going to share because they each have kind of a unique story and role. And so we really wanted to encompass all volunteers and what that would look like. It's a fun evening. It's a fast evening. You've been there.
I went last year for the first time. Yeah, I loved it. It was great.
Doors open at 5 and you got to be out before 8 o'clock. It is fast.
Yeah.
But I also kind of love it because it just, it'll be a lot of the same things, like our raffle baskets. We do the silent auction. We do the wine pull, which was a huge success last year. So we are doubling the size of it this year.
Okay.
We've got a new caterer this year. So I feel like our food is going to be a little more elevated.
Okay.
We have
I know the food was great last year.
It is. It's been really good. We're just kind of bougieing it up a little bit, which is going to be fun, I think. And they also, we're going to have a complimentary bar, which includes a mocktail that the caterer has volunteered to put together for us. And, free soft drinks, free bottled water, things like that. So I feel like it's just kind of a notch higher than it has been, but I think it's going to be the same amount of fun. I'm really excited for people to get to mingle and share and hear directly from these volunteers.
Yeah, it was really cool. I know last year when we went, it's I've been in some of the taller buildings downtown, but it's in the Salesforce building, I think so at the 47th floor. So you're up there, you can see around the entire city.
Yeah, which is why we don't decorate, because there's no point. You've got this beautiful view, and yeah.
So who should attend?
Everyone. Literally everyone.
Yeah.
And I
So if we have a customer and they're like, hey, okay, it's cool. We love that UHQ supports safe families, or somebody that is outside of the UHQ circle. They're like, yeah, I mean, this is cool, but should I really go?
Yes.
What's your pitch to them?
So my pitch would be, if you believe that children should be safe and with their parents, you should be in the room,
Okay, that's good.
Because it's a lot of sharing. And what I love is to look out at the room and see how many different walks of life are there, right?
Yeah.
Because that's really fun to see the business people in the room, to just see the stay-at-home moms in the room, just the vast variety of people who are yes, we want to support families in our community. Yeah. And I think that's it. If you want to support families in your community, then this is the event for you. We do not call it a gala. We really want this event to match what we do and we are not bougie at work, right? Like this is normal everyday life. So we say, dress code is come as you are comfortable. I don't care if you wear jeans. I don't care if you wear shorts. I don't care if you wear a ball gown. Like whatever makes you happy, that's how you should come. And our event is also very affordable. It's $60 for a ticket. That includes your food, your drinks, free raffle ticket, things like that. And if you buy 2, we give you a discount. Then it's $110. And then we also have a variety of sponsorship levels. So we have also been sharing with companies and different people, like, even if you can't attend, still buy a sponsorship, because we're going to scream your name from the mountaintops so everybody knows that you've supported us. Yeah. And then we can also pay those tickets forward and share them with people who maybe can't afford to come. So yeah. It's just, I think it's for everybody.
Good. And so it's really both an awareness event and a fundraiser, yes. Right? Yeah. That is, like you said, you're a non-for-profit. We know each other enough now that, like, I understand the dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Like and I get it. Like, I mean, we're a smaller company, and, 4 employees. I mean, people that aren't in business, think about how much do 4 employees cost, right? Like, it's not inexpensive just to have you on the team, right?
Right.
Let alone everything that you guys are doing to try to help support people. Mm-hmm. So maybe talk about the importance of not only why is it good to have the awareness of if you want to help support families, but also why is it important for them to help support you financially as a fundraiser in this event?
Yeah. So something I'm very proud of is that I am very thrifty. And I think that comes from my life being a single parent and just, learning how to manage on a dime. And that is how I run this organization. We don't have an office because overhead to me is an expense that is silly because we do all of our work in the field. We're meeting parents where they are. We're meeting volunteers where they are. We're meeting organizations at their monthly meetings. So that was when I became director. We're not doing office space, that's silly. And there's enough great places. We actually meet for our staff meetings at, it's called Abda Window Designs in Speedway. They have a conference room and they loan it to us at no charge so we can have our staff meetings there. So the money that comes to us is truly just to keep it going. And our volunteers are phenomenal. So we have very rarely ever had to purchase anything that our families need because volunteers will donate it. And so, the expense is limited, but the expense is very important because there has to be someone willing to sit in the seat that's going to take the heat if something goes wrong or someone's not happy. You have to have staff. We are very volunteer driven, but you have to have staff because our volunteers may also work other jobs. And so there has to be someone who's available. While we don't necessarily answer our phones 24/7, we do monitor our phones 24/7. I mean, we don't turn off. It's not necessarily always a good thing, right? Boundaries. But we're always monitoring because I don't want to create a boundary and then miss someone else's actual crisis, and so we always encourage people, if they're calling for help, always leave a message because we're listening to those. And so, there are just those pieces about my team that, like, we are available to the families that we serve. And so it's important that we have the money to pay us, which is not a lot of money, but to pay us to do our jobs, and that's just the reality of what it is. And so when I write grants, some foundations or grant funders don't always like to cover operational expenses, but the reality is for our chapter, that is what we need. I don't need a programming fee. I don't need a diaper fund. I've got those pieces covered by volunteers and stuff. So
yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it's good. So you touched on it briefly, but how can local businesses sponsor or support the event directly? What is the way that they could do that?
Yeah. So, and I'm sure we can throw it in with this podcast, right? Like we have an event specific link.
Yeah.
That's a donation link. And so they can just go to that link and purchase tickets or sponsorships or whatever that looks like for them. We do, if it's a business or a person and they want to be acknowledged, we do put it on all of our social media. We put it in our newsletter, and they will be noticed at the event as well. We always do a big board with all of our sponsors and stuff on it. So it's a good way to also get out the word about, businesses like yours that, do support this, because it matters to people. And I think they want to know, like, oh, that guy supports that. We always laugh because it's like we have you and UHQ Construction, and then we also have another gentleman with Prime Garage Door who was my garage door guy. Like, it's just really fun when you can get people that like you've given business to and you see them now like giving back to your nonprofit is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how I learned about Safe Families was through Trish as a customer. And I think it's really important as a business to like stay involved in that local community. I mean, obviously we are a for-profit business and, that's what we do for a living, but I think it's also important to kind of give back as well.
Yeah.
So in that link, we'll put a link in this video, and if you're a business and you want to sponsor, get in there. Also, if you want to get tickets, I think we'll be able to have the same link set up as well for you. Yeah. So please come. I had a great time last year. I brought a colleague of mine, his wife, and my in-laws. And we had a great time. We really enjoyed the event, and looking forward to coming back again this year. So, if you want to support Safe Families, this is a great, easy way to do it. I will tell you, there was not like a hardcore sales pitch at any point in it. It was more about like kind of spending time with people in the organization, which I really enjoy. So
thanks. Yeah, it's fun. And it's a great time of year for us to hold a fundraiser because our fiscal year ends on June the 30th. So it's also kind of our way of like, let's close this year out good, and just make ends meet and have that all come together. So
yeah, perfect. And for someone who's listening right now who wants to help but doesn't know where to start, what's the best first step for them? Like volunteer, donate, sponsor an evening with the stars, referring a family in need, church partnerships, business partnerships. Like if they're interested in doing any of those things, like what's the best first step for them?
Yeah. So on our website, there's a link that you hit if you want to volunteer, but you can fill it out very basically, because what happens is when we get your info, Trish reaches out. And then Trish will have a conversation like, so what does make sense to you? Where do you see yourself fitting in? So you're not locked in just because you've submitted that online. You can hit the link that says request more info, and then we reach out. Or you can go to our website and find any of our email addresses and just shoot us an email. And we're more than willing to have that conversation. That just happened this week. We had an email from a lady who was like, I think I want to get involved. I just don't even know where to start. So Trish set up a phone call with her. So we're happy to take it slow. Like we're not going to peer pressure you, because peer pressuring people into hosting kids is not smart. So we'll just have those conversations. When it comes to like donating, I would say like, I sincerely mean it when I say no dollar amount is too small. We have monthly donors that you can be a one-time donor, you can be a monthly donor. Monthly donors range from $5 a month to $500 a month right now in what we have in our monthly donors. So every single dollar is appreciated. The focus of our event is always to get monthly donors, just because we need kind of that more sustaining month to month instead of the up and down. But and you're not locked in. So if you just want to do it one time, that's also fine. But I would say those are our two biggest needs, right? Volunteers and funding.
Yeah.
That's just the reality, and that's probably never going to change a million years from now. But those are probably the easiest ways to get involved. We do not have a lot of corporate partners, business partners. So I would love to talk to anybody who is interested in looking at at ways. I mean, event time, we have a lot of corporate, sponsors that come on, but throughout the rest of the year, we don't. So those are conversations I'm always willing to have with people too. And I'm very transparent about where we spend our money and how we spend our money. So if anyone's concerned about what it looks like, we can sit down and go over it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you can remain anonymous.
Yes, you can remain anonymous. You can. We are very excited because this year we have a title sponsor for our event and they would like to remain anonymous, and that's fine. We're going to meet you where you want to be met. Even though I would love to shout from the rooftops, everybody who's supporting us, I also understand that not everybody wants to be shouted from the rooftops. So, Yep. We'll let it roll however you want it to roll.
Great. Well, at UHQ, we want to be involved with our community. We think a strong community is a great community. And I think everything that you do at Safe Families is amazing. So thank you for everything that you do and allowing us to support you. And we look forward to the event. We look forward to coming back and sitting down and talking more about what's going on. We look forward to supporting you as well, through the future. So thanks.
Yeah, it means a lot to us. Thank you. Yeah.
So
great.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. Again, Cory Getz, Laura Rasche, and we'll see you on the next episode.